Hey everybody, now we're going to talk about Chapter 6, all about lawyers. Woohoo, lawyers, the scum of the earth, right? That's what we all been told. Ambulance chasers, people who are out just to steal your money and rob you blind. Well, not really, okay? Lawyers get a bad rap, and lawyers aren't that bad. Some are. I'm not going to say that they all are. There are some bad ones. But for the most part, lawyers do a really big job and very important job here in the United States in our court systems. So let's think about, when do you need a lawyer? Take a moment and think about situations in your life that you might need a lawyer, why you might need a lawyer. So take, I'm going to count 3 seconds, okay? Think. Okay, so hopefully in that time you've thought of something, a reason why you might need a lawyer. Hopefully you never will, okay? At least not for a criminal case, okay, or for a criminal charge, or for a civil suit. But there are certain situations where you're going to need a lawyer. And you can hire lawyers to help protect you, okay? So here's some I have listed here. If you're going to buy or sell a home, okay, you're going to need a lawyer to handle that, okay? Making sure contracts are right, making sure title searches are done. I bought and sold a house, and I bought a second house. Both times I had to have a lawyer help me out. I need to make sure that the title search was clean, that nobody had a loan or a lien out on the house that was going to unduly affect me or harm me later on. Let's say you decide to become a small business owner and you want to incorporate your business and move beyond a partnership into an LLC, a limited liability corporation. A lawyer is going to be very helpful in drawing up that paperwork to make sure that you're covered and everything's set up correctly. If you want to change your family status, let's say you're going to adopt somebody or you're going to get a divorce, a lawyer is good to help you make sure you go through that process, and there's not going to be any hiccups or trouble along the way. I encourage you all. I know you're all young. You're in high school. You don't think about a will. Talk to your parents. Talk to your guardians about wills. Okay, and do they have one? It's not bad to go talk to a lawyer for that. And even as a high school student, when you get into college, something to think about is to get what we call a living will. Okay, just a plan. None of us plan to die, but it is not bad to have a plan written out, saying here's what I want to do with my estate, or the estate is what we call the stuff we leave behind us when we die. You know, what's going to happen with my property? What's going to happen to that? Okay, and that way people who we leave behind us are going to have a plan. Anytime we sign a contract, more than what you signed when you agreed to your iTunes. Though, by the way, you should read the terms of agreement. I know none of us do. Read the terms of agreement before you just blindly agree to do something, whether it be CNN or Facebook, because there are some real strict rules on there that if you do something, you can get caught and in trouble. But let's say one of you make it big into the music industry, or going to at least try to sell a song that you've done. You need to get a lawyer to look over the contract to make sure you're not going to be tripped up, to make sure you're not going to get the raw end of that deal. Anytime there's any type of personal injury or property damage, or there's a criminal charge against you, or you're going to bring a civil suit, check with the lawyer first, okay? It's just a good thing. So down there are sort of 2 questions. If there's going to be a legal document involved or in a court case, you're probably going to need to get a lawyer. If you're not really sure, call the Bar Association, call the North Carolina Bar, and ask. They're there to help you, and they're more than willing to help you out, okay? So it's always better to ask than to wind up in court and go, well, I didn't know I needed one, or to wind up in a situation where you're losing something really valuable to you, or not getting a fair deal because you didn't have a lawyer, okay? So it's always good to have somebody there just to look after you. So if you've determined that you need a lawyer, the next question is, how do you find a lawyer? Well, in the old day, look in the Yellow Pages. Nobody uses Yellow Pages anymore. Get online, okay? You know, you can get online. I call it GTS. Google that stuff. If you want to change the S to something else, you probably could. But Google that stuff. Search the internet for attorneys in your area. Ask someone that you trust. Ask a parent. Ask a member, someone at your church, in a community organization that you're a part of. It really works well if you know someone who's in a similar situation as you, okay? If someone has had a similar situation, and they've had a lawyer, they're going to find someone who's good, or they can at the very least tell you who not to have, okay? There's lots of lawyer referral services and bar associations out there. So get a hold of them. At the very least, get on the internet, Google lawyers in your area, and call the first 3, okay? And just ask them questions. They're going to be able to tell you, can they help you or can they not help you, okay? Don't just choose the first lawyer you see. Make sure you have some choices there, okay? Because you never know who's going to be good and who's going to be not good, okay? So you've got a list of let's say 3 lawyers. You've had a car wreck, and the other person is suing you, and you're looking to defend yourself. It wasn't your fault that you had a wreck. Something happened, and it was not your fault. So you're going to call your 3 lawyers. Here are some questions that you should just ask any lawyer you're going to ask. What's your fee? Okay? How much are you going to charge me if I use you? Is the fee a flat fee or an hourly fee? Do I pay you up front $500 and you'll do whatever I need? Or are you going to charge me for every hour that you put into my case? Do I need to put a retainer? Think of a retainer like a deposit. Okay? Do I need to just put money down on you to hold on to you? Okay? Is a retainer required? And do you have contingency fees? So if something comes up and they need to send a researcher somewhere, do I have to pay for the researcher? Okay? So once you get what there is there going to be a written fee agreement? I would suggest that you try to have that in writing somewhere. You don't want the lawyer to come up later and go, well, I told you that, this is what I told you. That's not what we agreed upon. If you have it in writing, it's going to be better for you, okay? As long as you make sure you follow that agreement. Okay? If you're going to have a written fee agreement, what does it say? Make sure you know exactly. If you have any questions, if you don't understand something, ask. How often are you going to be billed for the lawyer? Will the lawyer tell you if the fee is going to exceed a certain limit? You don't want to hire a lawyer and think that he's going to work on my case and I'm going to come out for $1,000, and the lawyer go, you know what, it's $10,000. Well, why didn't you tell me when it was going over $1,000? Make sure they're going to the lawyer's going to do more work than he says he's going to do. Make sure he doesn't try to trip you up and charge you for extra stuff, okay? The next question is so once you sort of covered the fees, you don't have to ask these in any order, but I would definitely ask about the money part. I think the other important question is, has a lawyer ever handled a case like this before? You do not want to get a tax attorney representing you in a murder case. Okay, you want to get someone who's handled murder cases before. If you're going in front of a tax issue, let's say you've evaded your taxes, you don't want a personal injury lawyer handling these issues. He's not going to have experience in that type of case. He's not going to know the relevant law. So make sure you get someone who's had it. And if he has or she has handled that type of case, what's their record? How many have they won? How many have they lost? How has it come out? Will the lawyer provide you with copies of everything that he or she does? All the correspondence and documents prepared on your behalf. You need a copy. Okay? The lawyer's going to keep a copy. They're required to. You need to keep a copy as well. Okay? Finally, will the lawyer keep you informed of any new developments in your case? Make sure that if something changes, if the other side, the plaintiffs or defendants, whichever side is opposite of you, makes a motion or introduces a new piece of evidence, that you're going to know about that. And then more importantly, make sure they speak to you, they talk to you in plain English. You don't want to be dealing with somebody who talks in the trade speak, okay, of their profession. It'd be like going to a doctor and the doctor rattling off, all these diseases or these words in Latin and with, 18 syllables, and you're going, what does that mean? You want to make sure you understand exactly what's happening and know what's going on, okay? So when you choose a lawyer, make sure it's someone that you can trust, okay? Because trust is key to relationships. I know that society has given us a bad view of lawyers, but you're going to have to trust that this lawyer has your best interest at heart. You need to make sure you tell your lawyer everything about your problem. Do not hold back. The lawyer cannot represent you effectively in the right way if you don't give him or her all the information that's going on. if they're sitting in trial representing you and fighting for you, and suddenly it comes up that, well, he did this, and you're like, well, yeah, I did. That was, if you don't tell them, they can't prepare for it, and then it looks bad for you, okay? Remember that whatever you tell your attorney, you're protected by attorney-client privilege in almost every instance, okay? There's a few cases where your lawyer, that's not protected, but it's very, very rare that what you tell your attorney, what you tell your lawyer is not considered privileged information, okay? So whatever you tell your lawyer pretty much is going to be private and confidential. The lawyer can't go to the police and say, yeah, he did it, she did it, if you tell them that, okay? Now, they can't let you lie on the stand, but they can represent you in the best way. Give it everything, okay? And more importantly, if a lawyer does want to release that information, they have to ask you for your permission. If they don't, they can be disbarred, okay? And that's the part of that code of ethics that's down at the bottom of the slide. Remember, attorneys do not make decisions for you, okay? They can give you advice. They can say, I think this is your best option. I think this is where you should go. But in the end, you have to make that final choice. Do you trust? And that's that key part of that relationship. That's why trust is so important. You need to be able to trust your lawyer to represent you the best way possible. Finally, you see down there, I alluded to this earlier, just a few seconds ago, lawyers have to follow a code of ethics. If they do not, they may be disbarred or prevented from practicing law. Okay? If they do a really bad job for you, you get to sue them for legal malpractice. Okay? If they're doing just a horrible job and are intentionally doing a bad job, you can actually sue them because of that. And with that, that sort of covers the basis of lawyers, and more will come later. I hope y'all have a good day. Bye-bye.